We want to maintain as much of this original style as we can. As you can see in here, we've got that in while I'm scoping out exactly where it's going to sit. Here we go. Welcome to episode 1 of the teardown. We're kind of laying a few things out before we tear this down from its stock form. We've got the Duromax sitting here with the CVT on the back side of it. Now we do have the F&R transmission that's going to be in this mix. But basically I wanted it laid out so you could get the idea of how we're going to hopefully put it into the engine bay. Now one thing that's going to get pointed out right off the bat is this does not open. So what John and I think we're going to do is we're going to build a tilt nose so that the whole front end tilts up, kind of like a lawn tractor idea.
Or a bus.
Or a bus. And then the other quibble that we've got here is John went and dug these out of my spare pile. These are 20-inch 8x8s, and they're the goal that we want to put on here. But as you can see, the wheel hubs were designed for like a 12 or a 13-inch tire. So we've got to decide whether we're going to go monster truck look and lift the snot out of this thing, or what we're going to do. Because the transmission for the rear that we want to use is going to put the tires sitting just about an inch or so in from the stock location. We don't want to be coming out any further because then we'll put too much stress on the rear transmission. So we want it buttoned up as much as we can. And that puts the tire right about here. Now, the other thing we've been talking about is John is just a little under 5 foot at this point. So if he sits in it right now, he just plain, you know, he's not comfortable. This wasn't designed for a 5 foot tall kid. So what we're thinking at this point is remove this light bar because they're just ugly, atrocious, and always broken anyway. And bring the seating all the way into the rear and have his seat sit with the back of it about an inch forward of the rear axle, which would gain him probably 4 or 5 inches. So, yep, sit back to it. So that would put him sitting back to about this point. And then in previous Power Wheel builds, we have built the steering to be in the column-ish type area where it ought to be in the dash. I don't think we're going to do that with this build because, John, if you put your arms out like you're holding the steering wheel, see, he's just going to end up in a really awkward location. I am never-endingly amazed at the monkey-see, monkey-do of these F&R go-kart transmissions. There are several very large YouTube channels that actually mount these wrong, and they come up as the top search hit, and it amazes me. This location here is what they were designed to be mounted in. So on the original Hondas, these were designed to go with. These plugs didn't exist. So we need to just pop that out and put in a screw and flush mount it, and we should be good. This will slide right up against the underside of the box. The original setups used this as a tensioner, and then they came off of the underside of this to this right here as a pivot. And that's it. That's all there was just a piece coming out here and a piece that came from here to here in order to pivot on. And that's how they adjusted for a 30 series CVT. Now, John's over here working on the Power Wheel some. He's been ripping out wiring that we don't need. He's got a tote full of extras. These are probably going to end up in a 3D printing experiment to see if we can make some better ones. I'm not willing to pay the price that people seem to think these things are worth in order to have some nicer ones. That poor thing is a little on the mangled side. So now that he's got all the leaves out of it and everything, we're going to see if this will come off so we can start doing some measurements for the engine fitting. Right, John? Yeah. I forced him to look happy just for this section of video. He was kind of scowling and stuff. I'm not quite sure what was wrong. Anyways, so this front clip here is reinforced with nothing more than this really weird bar running down through. That's good in that it means there isn't too much to monkey with, but it's bad in that I was kind of hoping there was a square front to this that we could mount some hinges to. So we're going to have to fabricable something there in the future. So what I think at this point is going to happen is I think we're going to cut the front fenders and take this whole assembly off of here. And we're going to see whether this frame rail that they have will work in order to at least mock up where the engine will go. We're going to sister this frame rail down through on both sides anyway in the future, because I would like to maintain this bottom foot pan in the front. One of the things about when we do our conversions is we attempt to A, put the engine in the engine bay where it's supposed to be, B, put a drivetrain in underneath it like a real truck, and last but not least, the thing that makes us the most different from everybody else, we try to leave as much body intact as possible. We don't just take an ATV and stuff the body on top of it after cutting the whole assembly out of it. So, at this point, we're going to take some more apart, probably cut the front, and then we'll bring you back. Well, that was entertaining. John and I went to take the rear end off so that I could take the measurements for the exact location of the stock axle and hubs and everything. And these just shot apart, springs everywhere and everything. So this thing here slides in order to go against this piece, which goes right down here on this. And so if we pull this out, there's going to be a spring on the inside of there that sits in here. And then there's going to be this one little guide. And that stupid little guide has to line up with, you can see the tip of it right there, that one little itty bitty bar right there. So we're just documenting that so that I can figure out how to put it back together later, and in case anybody else has one of these and is trying to figure it out. Welcome to the official point of no return that if I screw this up, I'm gonna cry. So what we did was we were originally going to try and use this line here, but then I realized I was going to end up having to do a bunch of gnarly cuts and stuff. So what we decided to do was square this and then grab an old 45 and 45 that down through. So that's our goal right now, is we're going to saber saw that in order to be able to have the hood that comes off. Eventually we'll hinge it in the front and go from there. Oh, this is the original saber saw from doing the original gas power wheel years ago. These things are amazing. If you're going to do any kind of plastic work, thin aluminum, cutting down into little holes and crevices and stuff, I highly recommend grabbing one of these. I'll post a link in the description. Save yourself a lot of headache. When it's the right tool, it's the right tool. So here's the game plan. We make John take the hood off. That way if I screwed up, somehow it's his fault. Alright, go ahead. Rip it off. You're probably going to have to grab it by each fender. It gets a little hot while cutting, so it may have plastic welded itself back together.
Probably.
Well, bounce it around a little more. What'd you do wrong? I blame you.
I think it plastic welded itself together, like you said.
Oh, let's see here. Oh, it did. Oh, there it goes. Okay, there's one side. There you go. Alright, try lifting up the front and see if it'll pivot. No. Lift up on the front. Here, I'll sit on this. Go ahead. Nope. That's stuck. Alright, we need to figure out what did you forget?
I don't know.
Okay.
Recording.
Okay, I don't see anything holding it, so I guess we're just going to get wacko with it and see what pops. Because okay, that's loose. That's loose. That's loose. Think. There we go. So, just to give an idea as to what we're after here, the idea is we're going to mount a piece in underneath the front bumper so that in the future, this will go like this, like a semi-truck or a bus. So at this point, we can get these two stupid pieces out of here. We'll set the engine in. We'll see just how much clearance we get. Well, here's our moment of truth. We got our engine stripped down to just the necessities that need to be in the engine bay. We've got this cut up. So we're going to take this. I'm going to set it up in here. And let's see if this will fit over it. Oh, we got plenty of room. There we go. John, see if you can see in underneath the wheel well so that they can see how much clearance there is. Oh yeah, that's a good solid 5 or 6 inches easily. We can probably come forward about probably 2 inches more without any issue. I think we're going to call this good for today. It's all torn apart, but kind of hodgepodge together right now for a bunch of measurements. We really can't do anything else major until I figure out the mounting and the engine cradle that this is going to go on. As it is right now, John is showing how he's going to probably sit in it, and the steering will probably be at a slightly upper angle from where he is now. We also are debating whether brakes will just plain be hand brakes, and the thumb throttle is probably what we're going to go with, but it'll depend. We've got a couple of different ideas going on as far as the gas pedal stuff, but we want to maintain as much of this original style as we can. As you can see in here, we've got that in while I'm scoping out exactly where it's going to sit. Now, as it is right now, this is going to have to go that way because the transmission has got to go underneath where the exhaust is here. At that point, it will come down. We'll have a jack shaft. That'll go on to the drive shaft assembly, which will go to the rear end here. John pointed out, and I want to hear you guys' opinion on what John thought. John thinks that we should build all the engine stuff, build the jack shaft, put in the drive shaft with the 2 universals, but for testing purposes, just build a solid mount for the rear end just to be able to get it up and running around, and then do the rear suspension in a future upgrade to the build. So let us know what you think. And John's going to sit there with his contemplating the world look. Really, he's thinking of nothing but bubble gum, because apparently he sells it at school. He's quite the little entrepreneur. He sells bubble gum at school, makes a profit on it, and every Friday on the way home with me, asks to stop at Dollar General so he can buy another 20 pieces of gum. You know, he's a little entrepreneur. Anyways, guys, we're going to cut this off here and say bye-bye.